Hey all, it's Dinosa, and I was doing a kind of a late Sunday night review of the movie Pain and Gain by Mark Wahlberg, Dwayne Johnson, and the third guy that was kind of an unknown guy, but more the comedic relief. And I got to say on that this movie got a lot of bad reviews on the net, and um, ironically, as like I was asked to do a review on it, but it's actually based off a real crime that happened in Dade County, Florida, and it's actually fascinating because these people had this idea that this was going to happen and go in such a way that they were going to get away with it, and it was just amazing. And in history, it was just, as they say, is sometimes the nonfiction is way more interesting than anything you create in fantasy, and that's because it's such an unbelievable story you can't believe it. Unfortunately, with the reviews though, everybody said, "Oh, this movie sucks," or this or that. People don't understand that this was done in the 1990s, and it was something that these people went through and experienced. And at the end of the movie, you actually saw the pictures of the actual felons who did it. So it has its moments on that. But first, I'll just kind of arrange the scene for you. The whole movie takes place in Miami, Florida, and in Miami, Florida. That there is, of course, this is the land of half, I don't know, you could say like half naked women. I mean, just, there's such a standard, like scantily clad, like all the girls are in bikinis, it's hot all the time, all the guys have to look ripped, and if you had money, it doesn't matter if you were a total greaseball. And there was a guy, Mark Wahlberg's character, that was so in shape, and he wanted to go to the next level, and he was just miserable because all of his life he has spent being this image which was determined by his employers, and he wanted to go to that next level. Of course, he had some run-ins with the law. Well, he comes up with this idea after he meets him and his friend, and then he meets Dwayne Johnson's character who just got out of prison, where Dwayne Johnson complains that he can't get a job, and they conspire with this heist about kidnapping some guy to make him sign over all of his assets. Well, it's such a harebrained scheme, and it actually worked. The only problem is the whole thing is they didn't kill the guy because they were all afraid to kind of take the rap, the blame, whatever. There was a moral conflict. Anyway, sorry, I'm really tired on that. And what the whole film circles around is the guy who actually, the star played the character Monk, who is this dude that has gobs of money, and he could really anyone, and they want that lifestyle. They want the gobs of money. They don't want the apartments. They want the like that. And they also touched about 90s commercialism, such as the Chinese dude saying like, "I got 7 different girls every night," and that was really big back then in the 90s. And but another thing that I'm shocked they didn't touch on was the 2 short guys. They were also really big in the 90s too. But the point I'm trying to make is that the whole film circled really around a guy that just wanted his piece of the American dream, the cars and everything, and he didn't get it like the way like other people would, and he had to work for everything that he had, and which brought a pride. But he was tired of working. Sure, he was buff and all that, but he couldn't date anyone like above his league because all he was eye candy, and he knew it. And there were some cold scenes in the movie, but it was a comedy. Like one of them says, "Well, why didn't I get rich?" He says, "Because you didn't go to college." And it says, "Don't blame me for this mistake." And that's one thing. But the other thing that's the most interesting is Dwayne Johnson actually did a real good acting job because he was a guy, a reformed Christian, and trying to stay short and narrow, except he also found the luxuries of cocaine and strippers. So kind of like just totally snowballed downhill. And they kept and then what happened was they came up with this kidnapping scheme, and it's a comedy that just keeps going on. First they mess up the first 3 kidnapping attempts, and they finally gets the guy, and after 30 days of putting him in a in a warehouse that's designed with sex toys, he finally signs over everything that he owns. And it was all legally because they went around getting notaries and all that. And Wahlberg, I'm sorry, on that. And Wahlberg actually was someone that was actually played the role really well, but it was Dwayne Johnson's cocaine feeling thing, and like he got a toe shot off, and he didn't care. He was like, whatever, it's just my toe, and he gave it to a dog to let the dog chew on it. There's a lot of comedy in the film. I think overall the film is really funny. In the theater, I don't know, there was a big morality play, and I think it was a real neat attempt to make something really funny, which these guys were like kind of so stupid, and they almost got away with this huge crime because their looks and stupidity kind of fell into it. And it just happens to be their boss happens to be a notary, which helped the whole situation, which then the notary got held liable on all the charges. And basically the guy that had no money got totally screwed, hired a private detective to take everyone down all at the same time. So I'm trying not to reveal too many spoilers, because really that's the whole plot. I mean, it's really just a filler in of what happened to these guys and the story that's just so unbelievably crazy, including a court battle where silicone breast implants were used as evidence because the bodies they recovered in these 2 oil drums, they cut out the implants of one, and they had serial numbers on them so they could identify the bodies. This is how crazy these people are. I mean, it's just was it's just wow. These guys actually did all this, and it was also, in a way, it was a Keystone Coppers kind of thing, because they just, every time they did something, it made it worse. They made it worse and made it worse. And then they finally win. They got their money. Oh, that's another thing. And they got the money, and then what happened was they go out and half of them go out and blow it stupid. When Wahlberg was the only one, no, we're going to be smart about this. We're going to do this. And then Dwayne Johnson goes out with stripper girlfriend and cocaine field and runs out of money, basically. And spends 15 more years in prison. So overall, I think the movie is definitely a good rental. Definitely a rental. Definitely an Amazon Instant Video. As a theater, I could see doing this theater, but I mean, ironically, if I compared it to another Miami film, Spring Break, the coloring, the colors in that were more suited. This was again, this film was PnGn was directed by Michael Bay, which in Miami he's also known for Bad Boys and Bad Boys 2, which Michael Bay, ironically, I didn't really see any car explosions or anything. No, correction, there is one explosion, a big one, but it was a different approach from Michael Bay, but it was the same thing. Is you get these super buff dudes and the cops, and they're going to blow up cop cars and all sorts of shit, and that's just, it's typical Michael Bay. I think the critics were unnecessarily harsh on it, because it was not meant as a comedy. It was meant to tell a story of what actually happened in Miami. That's the truth, and that's what happened, and that's where all these people were shown at the end, what they looked like, what happened to them. One of the more interesting, I mean, I think about where I live in the Bay Area, that what sort of crime stuff they could talk about or do here, and there's several crime dramas. I mean, you could do the Emma Milk killing, you could do You could do the Sarah O'Connor, not Sarah O'Connor, the O'Connor case where the SOB is in Rodney and Quentin. I'm trying to think of local stuff that you could do. I think the thing is an interpretation in a movie. It's something that doesn't translate well to a movie. Whereas it may historically be accurate. It's just the audience is like, whatever. It's like, are we really supposed to believe these guys are this dumb? And in reality, they really were that dumb. And oftentimes, a lot of these criminals are so stupid, they make the dumbest mistakes, which get them caught. And that's unfortunately the case. So, I mean, there's things to think about the film. I think it's definitely worth watching. Because it's just really, it is funny. There's just some hilarious moments in there, especially with, there's so many that are just actually hilarious, just funny moments. I think it was a decent film. I don't know if it was the best, definitely not the best, but it was definitely decent. It was definitely worth way more than what the review's saying and what Amazon, all those are saying. It's definitely worth a watch or instant video. And that's really about it. But anyway, this is Dinosaur. I hope you enjoyed this all, and I'll talk to you later. Bye.